Welcome to today's video, guys. Today we have another Valkyrie product, and they stated right here on the box somewhere, I can't find it right at this moment, but they stated a perfect price per performance ratio, and we're going to check that out because this one right here unfortunately doesn't have the box we're used to from Valkyrie, but regardless of that, it's still nicely boxed, and yeah, you might have seen that unboxing on my Instagram page. But regardless of that, today we're going to talk about my Valkyrie JARN 360 addressable RGB AIO cooler, and can't wait to check it out. So what's it all about? It's a 360. You have a possibility to rotate the pump block top head, but only the mirror effect. It looks quite nice, I do have to say. A bit of a different fans than we're used to from Valkyrie, which I think this is where we are going into, I would say, more a budget category. This one definitely goes into that segment, because the past one that I covered, I think that's more premium in those terms, because we have more performance fans and much better design in all of those terms. But I think JARN 360 will definitely be in those segments where you place it in budget category with a good performance, and that's what some of you guys are definitely after. So I'm not going to lie about that. That's quite cool and definitely okay. Maybe they even cut the cost on the box just to give it a more affordable approach, which of course boxes cost, let's not lie. It supports all AMD and Intel sockets except for Threadripper, of course. And let's check out some specs. So we have copper cold plate, aluminum radiator, 395mm length of the tubes. Cold plate dimension is 60 x 50 x 3mm. The tubing material is FEP corrugated braided sleeve. Radiator dimensions are 397 x 120 x 27mm. Fan dimensions 120, 120, 25. The fan speeds go from 700 to 1850 RPMs. And of course they have PWM connection, as well as the addressable RGB 3-pin 5 volts. And the fan airflow at maximum is 75 CFM. The fan static pressure is 2.23mm H2O, and the noise level is maximum at 34 decibels, which I do have to say, 34 decibel is the highest that I reviewed so far out of all the fans, by 2 decibels. But regardless of that, I don't think, I mean, yeah, okay, it's loud. 34 is loud when we're talking about the fans, but I think it will definitely do the job even if you lower down the RPMs. And the TDP is 300 watts that it can do, so that's quite solid. In the box, of course, we get the JARN 360 addressable RGB. We get 3 Valkyrie V12F addressable RGB fans, 1 Valkyrie hub, and of course installation manual plus accessories. Now when we're talking about the accessories, we have loads of them, because it can support, as already stated, 1200, 1700, 20XX Intel sockets, and then we have AMD M4, so you really do need to have loads of stuff going on here. The warranty on this product is 5 years, so this is quite cool as well. And let's go to the assembly part. The thing is, with the JARN 360, you have to remove for AMD the original retention brackets that are on the socket, around the socket. Okay, so 4 screws, take them out, take the plastic bits off, and place 4 threaded standoffs, and then you have to place new retention brackets on top of those 2 and tie them up with thumb screws. That's it. Again, quite easy installation, I do have to say. Place your thermal paste, remove the plastic foil from the copper base, and just tie up the top and the bottom part. One thing I do have to mention, do read the manual when you're doing the installation process, because for AMD, when you're placing those retention brackets, the inner part of each retention bracket needs to be that standoff, so it goes opposite of each side. So do take that into consideration. Be careful when doing it, because you'll just be doing double work and for no reason. So yeah, there's that. Everything else is really straightforward. 12 screws to place the fans on the radiator, mounting the radiator at the top, front, whatever you decide, it's all up to you. And of course you can use the controller that you get with this box. The cool thing about it is that all fans are daisy chained except for the PWM, so addressable RGB is completely daisy chainable. Daisy chainable, that sounds a bit weird, but yeah, daisy chainable, and you can just plug them all three together and plug them to your motherboard. The only thing that would be quite cool, instead of using the complete controller, even though it's really handy, some sort of a splitter for 3 PWM headers, and that's all there is to it. The rest is connecting the pump, also adjustable RGB and PWM, and that's it. Now when we head over to benchmarks, it's going to be quite interesting to give you some sort of a comparison. I used Jonesbo D500 case, which has front mesh, top mesh, and I don't have to mention the rear, plus Valkyrie JARN 360. AIO 64 Extreme Edition, CPU went up to 90 degrees, while clock speed went up to 4775 MHz, while the GPU went up to 46. If we compare it to Lee performance with Unifan SL120, V2 fans of course, because I had some sort of a combination of color scheme going on, so I changed the original performance fans. I want to give you exact idea what it is and what I've done. In the Lee O11D Evo XL, the CPU went up to 90 degrees as well, and the clock speed went up to 4800 MHz. So of course, when we're talking about performance, JARN 360 did perform quite nicely. Performance version of the Galahad 2 Trinity is completely something different. If I use the performance fans that originally come in the box, it would be even higher. So I think JARN 360, even though the performance one is definitely better, we can't argue with that, I think this one performed quite nicely. The GPU is totally irrelevant in this scenario. One more thing I do have to say, which I totally forgot, is that I used AMD Ryzen 9 7900X3D. So in Cinebench R23, we have thermals going from 81 to 82. Only first and the last run was basically 81, the rest was 82, keeping it quite stable, I do have to say. CPU clock speed was from 4925 to 4950, which is quite alright. I think it, yeah, I think only two benchmarks were at 4925, the rest was 4950, which is outstanding. And the score is 26,247. And it stayed there, eventually past 26,300. And when you take into comparison with the Lee performance with Unifan SL120 V2, 200 to 400, I think even 400 Cinebench points less on 7900X3D is still quite alright when we take into consideration the price per performance ratio. So I won't go too much into those details, because after all, we are having here a more budget oriented AIO with a 360 design, quite nice pump block top without a doubt, has a nice Valkyrie mirror finish. You can see it blends in quite nicely, and I really like the design. The performance is there and you'll be quite satisfied. Of course, depending on the budget that you have, if you want to spend more, you can always go with better performance. And taking all of that into consideration, I think this JARN 360 ARGB goes into the segment of, let's put it this way, PC Crazy approved badge. Because it's easy to install, it's quite user-friendly in those terms when we're talking about mounting it on the AMD platform, even though we do have some other AIOs that, or CPU coolers, air coolers, that can be mounted directly on the original retention brackets and those plastic bits that are around AMD socket. But regardless of that, this isn't too difficult, I would say, as you can see from the close-ups. And the performance is there, as already stated. How much you paid, this is how much you get, and they covered that part quite nicely. So in those terms, this AIO has solid performance per price ratio, and I would definitely recommend, if you're more into that budget segment, looking for something that looks cool, that has addressable RGB fans that are adjustable when we're talking about 3-pin 5 volts addressable RGB headers, and you can go with static color as I did, or you can go with RGB madness, it's all up to you. But then again, we also have a quite nice pump block top that doesn't it looks nice. I have to admit, it does look nice even when you switch it off. So, I mean, the lights, right? Not the pump. So, all in all jokes aside, big thumbs up to Valkyrie for another cool AIO. We have one more going, and I'm going to show it quite soon. But until then, don't forget to check the links for the Yarn 360 in the description below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and click the notification bell so you don't miss that AIO, because that one will be quite interesting. So guys, thanks, see you next time, bye bye.